Welcome to Projection Reflection, where we reflect and review on old and new films. I'm your host, Corey Donato, and today's review is Pixar's The Incredibles. And this is by far my favorite of the Disney Pixar films. It is just so good. I even have my old DVD here with me that I bought. I think I got it for Easter back when I was about in 5th grade. And this film is it's so good, you guys. It's just absolutely one of my favorite. It's on my list of favorite films. This film was directed by Brad Bird, who also directed the live-action film Mission Impossible: Ghost Protocol. He also wrote the screenplay for Batteries Not Included, which is a cult classic film from the 80s. And he also did, he did Iron Giant, which is one of my favorite animated films, and he also did another Pixar film called Ratatouille. The guy just brings out hit after hit after hit with his films. Tomorrowland, I heard, didn't do as well, but I heard it's still kind of becoming a cult classic. If you don't know what Tomorrowland is, it's a futuristic film starring George Clooney that Disney brought out a few years ago. This film has a great voice cast. It has Craig T. Nelson as Mr. Incredible, a.k.a. Robert Parr. And then has Holly Hunter as Helen Parr / Elastigirl, Sarah Vowell as Violet Parr, Spencer Fox as Dash Parr, Jason Lee as the villain Syndrome, and Samuel Jackson as the other superhero Frozone, a.k.a. Lucius Best. And it's just such a great voice cast, guys. You couldn't ask for a better guy to play Mr. Incredible as Craig T. Nelson. Craig T. Nelson, I remember him as a kid when my dad would watch reruns of the show Coach. And I also believe he was in the movie. He was in the movies He was in the Poltergeist movies as well. He played the father in those movies, but he is just absolutely fantastic as Mr. Incredible in this film. So is Holly Hunter. Elastigirl is just badass. And the kids are great too. And there's little Jack right there. I didn't care to look up his voice actor, but he's a nice little funny character. The basis of this film is that Mr. Incredible is in retirement. Not in retirement. People were just done with superheroes. Mr. Incredible got frickin' sued for saving a guy because he tried to commit suicide. And then he also got sued by these people he saved on a train. And then all superheroes are being sued, and the government's losing tons of money from all these suits. So Mr. Incredible he's not a hero anymore. It's sad to say, but all the heroes go into hiding, and then it's like the line in the film where their secret identities become their own identities. So yeah, all the superheroes are put into hiding. They can't show who they truly are. Mr. Incredible, in secret, him and Frozone go out and listen to police radios looking for action because they just miss those old days of being superheroes. And what happens is that Mr. Incredible is contacted by this woman named Mirage, who has a project for him to work on, a mission. And during this mission, Mr. Incredible destroys a robot, and he gets tons of money for working with this company, not knowing what the company truly is. And what happens is that the man who's in charge of this company was once a boy who was a huge fan of Mr. Incredible. Like, he's in the beginning of the film. There's a flashback. There's an awesome flashback scene with Mr. Incredible, Frozen, Elastigirl doing their hero thing. And he's this little kid who used to be, his name was Buddy, and he wanted to be Mr. Incredible's sidekick, but Mr. Incredible he didn't want any of it. He just did not want this kid following him around. He was sick of signing autographs for him. He's just a fanatic fan, like some of us. We're big, geeky superhero fans. And, Mr. Incredible just crushed his dreams, saying, hey, fly home, buddy, I work alone. It's one of the lines from the movie. But this kid ends up becoming the villain Syndrome, and he's the whole master of this plan, because he's been taking out supers, one after another. And he's a great villain. Jason Lee does so well as Syndrome. And what he wants to do is he creates these robots so that he can land this robot in a huge city, and then he has this remote control on his device so that he can defeat the robot easily, so then he becomes a superhero. And then when he's retired, he's done being a superhero, he's going to give out all his gadgets to people. And one of the classic lines in the film is he says, then everybody will be super once they get all these gadgets. And he's and once everybody's super, no one will be. He's just obsessed with he wants to be the hero that he saw in Mr. Incredible, but he's just so obsessed with power. He wants power. He found out as a kid that he could not depend on anybody. And, that's because of Mr. Incredible. So it's because of Mr. Incredible that this villain was created. And that kind of goes back to the old comics, because a lot of superheroes created their own villains. Like Batman with Joker. He kind of sowed the seeds into that a little bit. What happens what happens with the rest of the film is that Mr. Incredible goes into hiding on the island that Syndrome owns, and Mr. Incredible's wife comes back to try and save Mr. Incredible, but she believes that Mr. Incredible is cheating on her with another woman because she hears a phone call between him and Mirage, but it's only a business call. And what happens is she goes to that island. Dash and Violet stow away on the jet that she's in. Jet blows up because Syndrome believes that it's some kind of government official that's trying to take him out. So he gets rid of the jet that they're in. Of course, they're safe. Get on the island. They save Mr. Incredible. And what happens is that the Incredibles have to find a way to get back to the city, which they do, to take out Syndrome and his machine. This film is just all out amazing. I gave you just a quick glimpse of the story, and that doesn't even hit how great this film is. Like I said, the voice cast is just outstanding. Mr. Incredible is a relatable character, especially for those guys that kind of miss the old days, a high school, a guy who used to be a great high school football player who wants to relive the glory days of his high school youth. He's a guy that's in basically, what's the saying? Midlife crisis. He's having a midlife crisis. He wants to be young. He wants to be his young self again. He wants to be that hero again. He wants to do his part. And Elastigirl, I think she feels kind of the same way, but she kind of hides it more. The characters in this film are just very complex. Brad Bird hit it on the nose with this film. This film, it's funny to say, but this film is a better Fantastic Four film than the actual Fantastic Four movies. It just hits that family, the basis of family so well in this film. It does it incredibly well. Dash and the kids are great. The chemistry between the whole family is amazing. Dash and Violet, of course, have that bickering that siblings have. I mean, I know me and my brother bicker from time to time. And yeah, this film is just so great, you guys. Let's see, I have some more notes about this. The animation style, love the animation style. Very more so realistic than other Pixar films. I feel like this one, even though it has superheroes in it, I feel like this film is more so set in reality than other films, than other Pixar films. The animation style has a very, like, the whole city, the whole, like, world that they live in has a very, like, 1960s feel, and that I actually looked on the internet and I found out that Brad Bird kind of wanted a spy 1960s feel to the film, and he absolutely captured that in The Incredibles. What else can I say? The score. Oh my gosh. The score. I believe it's by Michael Giacchino. I didn't write it down. I should have wrote that down. But the score in this film is just outstanding. It's got a very very jazzy feel to it, and it's by far one of my favorite superhero themes. Like, it's on my list of favorite. My all-time favorite has to be the Danny Elfman's Spider-Man theme. But this Incredibles theme is definitely on my list. It's just so jazzy, and it gets you so pumped for the film. Just the music encapsulates every single scene that the music is played in. It encapsulates all those scenes. Like, it definitely the music shows and feels what's going on in every scene of the film. The story, like I said, the story was great. I was telling you the whole basis of the story. It's a great story about of course, a hero who just misses the glory days and wants to relive those. This has got to be, by far, like, I know I might be hitting a soft spot for some people, but I believe The Incredibles is by far Pixar's best movie. I mean, some people might like Toy Story, some people might like Finding Nemo or Ratatouille or all those other Pixar films, but I believe The Incredibles is by far the best Pixar film of all time. And you can quote me on that. I just absolutely love this movie. I just watched it a couple minutes ago, and you get that feeling. You just get that feeling of being a kid again when you're watching it. You're kind of like, it's like when you're watching Saturday morning cartoons as a kid, and you get so encapsulated in the story. There's so much energy in this film. There's comedy in the film, but I feel like it's more downplayed in this movie. I feel like this film is definitely more serious. It's one of the more serious Pixar films, and that's actually saying a little, because Pixar is always very emotional in all of their movies, and there are a few emotional scenes in The Incredibles, especially when Mr. Incredible believes his family to be dead. It is just heart-wrenching. And when he tries to take out the robot by himself in the city, and Elastigirl, his wife, is saying, like, what, you think, I'm not going to let you do this on your own. And he's like, oh, you think you're a big man, you want to live the glory days again? You think this will make you stronger? And Mr. Incredible's just like, I can't lose you again. Like, I won't lose you again. I'm not strong enough. And you just feel the emotion in that scene, and his wife is just like, we're going to do this together, and the whole family comes together to take out that robot, and it's just outstanding. The more I watch this, the more I love it. It's just such a family strong film, and it shows, like, the bond between a family and the importance of family. Because in the beginning, like, Mr. Incredible's just kind of just going with the flow. He's just, well, not really going with the flow. He's really bored in life. Even with his family, he's bored with his family. But then he realizes in the end that being a superhero wasn't the real adventure. It was his family that was the real adventure. And that is just such a great lesson in this film. I gotta give this film. If I had to score it, I'm giving my movie reviews a new scoring system because I know me and Colin, my brother, we have Donato Brothers movie reviews, and we do like the 10 out of 10. I'm gonna start just doing like 5 out of 5 things. So this film gets a 5 out of 5 for me. Like 5 out of 5, like just outstanding. Just absolutely outstanding. It is just such a great film. If you have not seen it, I highly recommend you see it before Incredibles 2 comes out, because that's why I made this video, because I am so pumped for Incredibles 2. One of the things though that I'm not quite happy about the sequel is that I wish they would have skipped into the future a little bit. I wish we would have saw Violet as like an adult, or Dash as a teenager, Jack as like as an older kid. But no, they decided just to bring it out. Just decided to put it right after the first film. I mean, I'm happy that they're finally bringing out a new story, because Brad Bird always said that he would not make another one unless he knew he had a story like planned out. And I'm just so freaking glad. It took 14 years in the making for there to be an Incredibles 2, and we're finally getting it, and I am absolutely excited. I hope you guys are too, because I feel like this film is going to be great, and I don't know if it's going to be as good, say, as the original, but I still feel like it's going to be I still feel like Incredibles 2 is going to be an amazing film. Like I said, I give the film 5 out of 5, and I highly recommend you watch The Incredibles before seeing The Incredibles 2. Make sure to share my video and subscribe, and make sure to also check out my videos on Donato Brothers movie reviews. So, catch you later.